Hey, it's me. Guess what? I got a haircut. I'm back. Sorry I haven't posted a video in such a long time. I broke my camera. I sold it. I had nothing but my phone, but then I realized my phone's good enough. I can post stuff on my phone. Athlean did that for a long ass time, and so did other people. But anyway, I'm back. Boom. Let's make a video. This video is everything you need for an AX15 swap on a 1997 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Let's go. Okay, before we get started, allow me to introduce myself and also introduce a little bit of background. Before that, yes, I'm still working on Rover 1. However, I don't have the greatest job at the moment, so funding is the thing holding me back. If I had money, I would have had this thing half built by now, but I'm currently still half done the rear axle, if you've seen those videos. I'm sorry guys, I really want to do this thing. I'm still super excited, but I just can't at the moment. My name is Cole, and this channel used to be known as Elite CSS Player. That was the day when I had my Jeep ZJ, 1997. I did everything, tires, winch, bumper, lights, stickers, all that stuff. And then I went a step further and converted it from a 42 RE Auto to an AX15 Standard. And a lot of people like those videos. I have a whole playlist on my YouTube channel with several videos detailing everything I did. But someone asked me several months ago to make one video, singular, detailing everything you need to do the AX15 swap. Sometimes it's nice just to have a video and someone with experience who's done it and knows what they're talking about. So without further ado, this is the last of the intro. The rest is going to be voiceover, I think. And we will get to it, and I'll show you what we need. Okay, welcome to the voiceover portion of this video, where I will be discussing everything here in point form and in detail. Before I go any further, if I don't talk about something on this list, for example the crankshaft position sensor, if you don't get enough info on this from me today, you can refer to my videos that are already existing on my YouTube channel under the playlist Jeep ZJ AX15 swap or something like that. I'll leave a link to it. And I cover more info on the crankshaft position sensor there. And if you can't find more info there, there's always a whole whack of forums. Sorry about that. There's always a whole whack of forums you can go and find information on too, like Jeep Forum and Mall Crawling and Pirate 4x4. Guys, it just takes a quick Google search and you'll find all the info you need. But hopefully I'll cover everything you need to know in this video, or at least the bulk of it. So hey, let's get started. First things first, forums, see my videos. Okay, already discussed that. Second thing, AX15. This is important. You want an AX15 from a 1994 plus Jeep Cherokee. And the reason you want a 1994 plus transmission is because they come with a 23 spline output shaft that slides directly into the 231 or NP242 transfer cases. Another important thing to look out for when buying a transmission, or particularly the AX15, is look for one that already has an external slave cylinder. You'll save yourself a whole whack of time if you just buy one with an external slave. Now I think the 1994 plus models already have external. One thing to be wary of too is if you buy an internal slave version, not only will you have to get a different bell housing to fit an external slave, but you'll also have to swap input shafts on the transmission itself because the pilot bearing is larger on external slave applications. Alright, next is a clutch pedal assembly. Now I have a video on this already that details this much better than I'm going to explain it. If you can't find one that's already a stock fit to your Grand Cherokee, which good luck, just get one from a Cherokee, any year Cherokee, and modify it. If you want to go stock all the way, you might be able to find one from jwjeep.com. It's a Jeep exclusive junkyard in California, I think. And then who knows, they may have a Grand Cherokee with a 5-speed stock. So check them out if you want stock parts. You might be in luck. Next on the list is a flywheel. Make sure to get a flywheel for the same year AX15. This is important because of the tooth count on the flywheel. The crankshaft position sensor and the flywheel must be the same year for it to work properly. One thing that I didn't get were flywheel bolts. So if you get a transmission and it comes with a flywheel but you're missing a bolt or something, go to your local bolt store. I think they're 1/2 by 20 by 1, so you can even get them online. Any bolts you need. Make sure they're grade 8 bolts as well. I wrote that down here.
Use grade 8 bolts when you can, always. Next on the list is a clutch kit with all the fixings. A good site to go to is Rock Auto. Scroll down to Jeep. Okay. Go to the year. Let's say we got a 1997 transmission, so we're going to go 1997. Cherokee, 4-liter, because that's the motor I'm going to made it up to. Transmission manual, clutch kit, right there, already highlighted. So you got lots of options, $83. You got some high performance ones, $643. Some premium ones, $225, $241. You have lots of options. And say you find one that you like, for example, this AMS automotive one for $103. It's not bad, not too terrible. You click info, and you can see here, includes all new pressure plate assembly, disc assembly, release bearings, pilot bearings, bushings, alignment tools. So this would be a good one to get. It's the full deal. Alright, next on the list is a master and external slave cylinder kit. Now remember, external slave, don't get confused with internal and buy the first one you see on the list. Make sure it's external. This is important. So again, we'll go to Rock Auto. Let's see, clutch master and slave cylinder assembly, right there, 200. And you can find some kits here. Wagner, Luke, AMS Automotive, same brand. Let's see what that's like. Scroll down, it says external. That would work. You can also see by the looks of this thing, this is the slave cylinder. This is the master cylinder, the part where you put the fluid into. This is what an external slave cylinder looks like. Okay, next on the list is make your own dust cover. So a dust cover is the part that goes kind of between the transmission and the engine block. Now the automatic dust cover fits, but it only fits about halfway because of the design. So what I did was I got similar gauge sheet metal and just kind of cut it to fit and drilled some holes, put it up there, and it worked great. I think in my redneckifications video, it's called, I talk about that in more detail, and you can see actual video of it. Okay, next on the list is your transmission cooling lines. Now, when you put a manual transmission in, you can't use the cooling lines from that extra small radiator. So you can either just remove the rad, or just block the lines with a couple Sharpie pens. That's what I did. A couple Sharpie permanent markers. Again, you might be able to see that in my redneckifications video. Next on the list is an NP231 or 242 transfer case. Now the reason these two are the ones I listed is because they're bolt-on. The NP249, don't know if it's bolt-on. Don't know, but the 242 is for sure. That's the one I use with my Jeep. And the 231 is bolt-on as well. They just kind of slide right in, bolts right up, no further mods. Easy. Plus they're far superior in my opinion. And this one, the 231, is smaller and lighter. So if you care about weight, go for that one. You can find them in Cherokees. Okay, next is the cross-member mount. Okay, this I didn't understand in the beginning and there wasn't much info for me, so I kind of had to redneck it together. You can see that in one of my videos. Maybe the redneckifications video? I'm not sure, but basically I just got some chunks of metal and like welded together a mount. It's not the safest, but it worked. You can buy a cross-member mount from a company called Novak Conversions. It looks like this. This is a newer style, so I don't know how well it's gonna work, but apparently it will work. So again, you can buy this, and you might have to drill a couple new holes on your existing cross-member, but it's sure a lot better than doing what I did. So it's something to consider. Novak Conversions. 4x4 shifter linkage. So because the transmission itself is 3 inches shorter, physically shorter, than the 42RE automatic that came with my Grand Cherokee, the 4x4 shifter linkage was, of course, now 3 inches out of place. So what I ended up doing, and you can see this in my redneckifications video, I think, is I just kind of got a piece of 1/8 inch steel and kind of welded it to the unibody and drilled a hole in it. And that was kind of the very easy, simple solution. You can buy stuff here. So I went to Novak Conversions and I went to transfer cases, shifter linkages, and then I came across this page, and there's a bunch of AX15 shifter linkages you could probably get to work if you want a more suitable stock looking thing. It really just comes down to the look. It's a very basic operation, So I just honestly recommend getting a piece of metal, drilling a hole in it, moving it forwards 3 inches, and you're done. Okay, next on the list is a crankshaft position sensor. Now this is important, I talked about this earlier. You want one for the same year AX15, preferably the same year flywheel, because there's different tooth counts on the flywheels depending on which one you get. Now you're going to have to Google that depending on your transmission and flywheel, but make sure you have the same year crankshaft position sensor. I don't remember exactly which one I used, but if it helps you, I think I used part number CSS716. I can't seem to find that anymore nowadays. Someone said this one might work, but I can't seem to find that either. I did a little Google search on here on Napa Auto Parts, and there's a few here that may work, that may fit your Jeep Cherokee. Okay, so moving on to drive shafts. Now, this is probably something that'll catch you by surprise. Oh yeah, drive shafts. So they'll have to be different because the transmission's 3 inches shorter. And that's correct. The front drive shaft, because it's a slip yoke, will work without being shortened, but it's risky. It's very risky. So it's recommended just to shorten the front 2.5 to 3 inches because it moves, and lengthen the rear 3 inches, roughly. For me, I went to a junkyard and found a V8 Jeep with a 231 T-case. I don't exactly remember, it's been a while. But I stole a drive shaft from that Jeep and it was exactly the length I needed. So, look into that. Okay, next on the list, shifter knob, boot bezel, interior fixins. This stuff is totally custom, unless you can go to that website, what was it, jwjeep.com. Yeah, unless you can find a stock Grand Cherokee 5-speed, all your interior stuff is going to be custom. I got a Cherokee center console and cut it to fit my floor pan, and I have a video on that somewhere. And then I got a Cherokee boot, and I used a Dodge 3/4 ton shifter and knob, and that all kind of fit together and looked pretty cool. You can see in my Jeep videos that it looks pretty nice. Okay, so next on the list, ground neutral safety switch. Now this one's important. I have a whole couple videos on this just alone. It's really easy to ground the neutral safety switch. So when you do the swap, you're gonna find a set of wires. Now I forget what the wires are for. Let's see. Yeah, here's the video. Here's my video I'm talking about. How to ground the neutral safety switch. End update. You'll find a couple things here. On the automatic, you have your backup lights and your fused ignition switch. On the standard, you have your backup lights and your fused ignition switch, but one thing the standard is missing is the neutral safety switch wire. So basically, you're going to have to splice and dice these two wires here, so backup to backup, fused ignition to fused ignition, and the neutral safety switch is just going to be hanging about. Basically, you'll just connect that to a toggle switch, ground it somewhere on your unibody, and use that toggle switch to basically act as your neutral safety switch. The role of the neutral safety switch is important and actually got me into trouble one day. So the role of the neutral safety switch is to prevent you from starting your vehicle in gear. So if you put your automatic Jeep in neutral or park, it will start. But try putting it in reverse or drive. It won't start for very obvious reasons. Now if you try putting a standard vehicle in gear without putting the clutch down, it won't start for very obvious reasons, and that's what got me into trouble one day. My brother went and started my Jeep, and I never had a neutral safety switch engaged, cranked the engine, and it rolled forward and smashed the taillight of this other guy's Jeep. And it sucked, but it happened. So anyway, I kind of rambled on about that. If you want to know more info, super detailed, you can go to this video here, AX15 ZJ swap, how to ground neutral safety switch and update. Okay, next on the list. Where are we at here? Okay, gear oil. So gear oil is something you might want to consider paying attention to. A GL5 rated gear oil has more additives which may, not entirely certain, which may remove more material from the synchronizer rings. So the synchronizer rings are made of brass, and the GL5 may have additives that are corrosive to brass. Whereas GL4 oil, such as Redline MT90 7590, which is a super nicely recommended oil, does not have these additives, so it's more safe for your synchros. So be all end all here, go for a GL4 oil versus a GL5 oil. And you can find out if it's GL4 or 5 just by looking on the bottle. Okay, some other useful info here. I already mentioned use grade A bolts. Go to junkyards when you can. Something you might want to consider is swapping in a Dana 30 high pinion. Now your Jeep Grand Cherokee cannot come with a high pinion. It comes with a low pinion Dana 30, which is fine, doesn't matter. But if you plan on going off-roading a lot, getting a big lift kit, a high pinion will definitely reduce the driveline angle and reduce the chances of smashing your driveline into some rocks. Definitely worth upgrading to a high pinion. And are they stronger? I'm not sure. Oh, something I should mention here, and I have a couple of videos on this. Be careful when you're drilling for the master cylinder holes. The master cylinder holes are already marked out, and there's a sort of a blocking plate that's kind of marked out already on your firewall in your Jeep on the driver's side. When I drilled into mine to mount the master cylinder, I drilled into a wire cluster and drilled into like 3 or 4 wires, which made it so my dash basically didn't work. I had no speedometer, no odometer, no fuel, no battery gauge. So be careful, or else you have to go underneath and splice them all back together. And that was a pain in the ass. The master cylinder I bought, I'm not entirely sure which one I purchased, like which brand, but the one I bought, by the time I mounted it, it had a little tilt. And I'm not sure if I cover that in any of my videos. It wasn't a problem for me, but it kind of looked weird. So make sure that you kind of sort of test fit your master cylinder. Just kind of put it up to the firewall and make sure the holes line up. And if they don't line up, then just drill holes where they do. It's really no big deal. Yeah, and here's just a list of some sites you can check out. CRANKSHAFT.com. This is where you can get some nice Tom Woods custom drive shafts. Now these are expensive. These are really expensive. But definitely worth it if you have the money. Let's see, what else can I talk about? Iron Rock Off-Road. So Iron Rock Off-Road is a website me and my dad have used a couple times. Same with Rock Auto. I've dealt with IRO a lot. I know them by their names. They're very helpful. They'll get whatever you want over the phone, right to your door. It's a great website. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. Ooh, Bleepin' Jeep. Bleepin' Jeep is very helpful on YouTube. They've just got generally great Jeep videos. Matt's a good guy. So anyway, this brings us to the end. Here, it's kind of been a long video, but if there's anything I missed here that you want me to cover more specifically, or maybe something you didn't understand, just leave a comment, and if it's important enough, I can make another video. Anywho, that about does it for me, so until further news, I shall talk to you later.